All right, it's our final segment with Christine Ebersole, the two-time Tony Award winner. I was just talking to her during the break, and she was talking about the pressure she got. They were telling her, you'll never get the Tony now, your second Tony, and she did win it. And she was also going to tell a story about right after she knew the Inquirer was coming out with her on the cover, attacking her, a talk she had with somebody. And I haven't heard this story, so can you briefly, in the time we have left, Christine, tell us both those stories?
Well, the story that happened after I found out that I was going to be in the National Enquirer, I had decided to take a few days off of work and go up to a spa in Pennsylvania with my husband, and we had hired a car to take us up there, and I was sort of sitting in a fetal position in the back seat thinking, oh my God, my life's over. I was so scared. I was just scared out of my mind because this had never happened to me before, and I'd never considered myself to be, you know, a celebrity, so I was surprised to get that kind of attention. So I was in the back seat of the car, and the driver all of a sudden starts talking about 9/11. He said, well, the reason why I'm driving this car is I had a business on at the World Trade Center, and I lost that business on 9/11. So I had an import-export business, and it was at the World Trade Center. I said, where were you on 9/11? He said, I was in the lobby of the World Trade Center. He said, I was in the lobby, and I heard, this was before the planes hit, apparently, there was a huge explosion below me. He said, I felt an explosion above me, and I thought there was an earthquake. So I tried to run out onto Liberty Avenue, and the door was locked. And I said to the security guard, can you get me out of here? I got it. There's an explosion. I think there was an earthquake. He said, sir, get back in the elevator and get back upstairs to where you were. He says, I'm not going back upstairs. There was an explosion. I got to get out on the street. He says, sir, these are my orders. Get back in the elevator and go back upstairs. He goes, I never was upstairs. I'm not going upstairs. Get me out of here, sir. I'm telling you one more time, this is my order. You must get back in the elevator. He said, well, there was another guy with me. We punched out the security guard. We knocked him to the ground. We jumped over him, and we got out the door. He said, I called the New York Times repeatedly, over and over and over again. I said, there was an explosion before the plane hit. I believe this was the second.
By the way, the firemen, the police, William Rodriguez, they all report that.
Yeah. And he said, I believe it was, so the first plane had hit apparently, I'm not sure exactly the order, but in other words, the plane had not hit the building. So these were these explosions that were going on. He said, I called the New York Times repeatedly. I sent them emails. He said, they wouldn't respond. And he said, finally they responded. I said, what did they tell you? He said, they told me I was delusional. It never happened. And I said, well, what did you think? And you know, he's driving this car, and he sort of bowed his head in shame, almost not for what he had to say, but for what he understood to be the situation. He said, it's a cover-up.
Now, he didn't know who you were, though.
No, he had no idea who I was. So I just started crying because I knew this is what happens to us, that, you know, it happens to everybody, every human being, those that are, you know, it's just a matter of being aware of it. God sends you, you know, when you stand on purpose, when you stand on truth, God will send you the person to support.
Listen, I was at a little outdoor cafe with Charlie Sheen last year. He had the idea to have that symposium out there, and he's like, I don't know if I want to do it now. And I said, hey, do what you want. That's fine. We're out there eating hamburgers. And just 30 seconds later, a black guy comes walking along out of nowhere, and he goes, Alex Jones, Charlie Sheen, I want to thank you both for what you're doing. You know, you ought to have some type of big event or some type of, you know, thing, and you need to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, it was like an angel.
That's what it is. They're angels.